Have you ever wondered if everything you believe could be wrong? What if some of the greatest minds, people who once rejected faith, ultimately bowed before something far greater than logic? And maybe that doubt you feel right now isn't a weakness. Maybe it's a door.
Davor Pavuna, one of today's most respected physicists, with over 20 patents and collaborations with Nobel laureates, starts every day with prayer to Jesus. But Pavuna isn't alone. C.S. Lewis, Maurice Caillet, many started as skeptics and ended as believers.
What did they discover? What made them question everything they thought they knew?
This isn't a story about blind faith. It's a story of thinkers and seekers who found answers in places they least expected. Maybe you stand before the same question.
Many people don't walk away from faith because they disbelieve in Jesus, but because of what they've seen in the church. It's not God they reject. It's the failure of those who claim to follow him. Some carry scars from betrayal. Others bear the weight of disappointment, and trust, once broken, feels impossible to rebuild.
Scandals, corruption, hidden sins, they've left a mark. Stories of abuse and cover-ups drive people further from the church. But here's the question. Is the church meant to reflect human weakness or divine grace? And could it be that even through the cracks, God's light still finds a way through?
Jesus isn't responsible for the failings of men. The church may stumble, but faith was never about priests or buildings. It was always about him. And when you walk into a church, it's not for the people standing at the altar. It's for the one who waits there unchanged.
Don't let the failings of others steal what Jesus offers you. The church isn't perfect, but Jesus is. And even a broken window lets light in. Sometimes, the most beautiful reflections come through the shattered pieces.
I get it, the world can be cruel. Suffering feels endless, and it's easy to ask, where is God in all of this? If he exists, why does he allow pain?
It's a question even the most faithful wrestle with. But maybe the existence of suffering isn't proof against God. Maybe it's a reminder of how deeply we long for something more, for justice, for healing, for hope.
We were never promised a life without pain. Even Jesus, the Son of God, wept at the tomb of Lazarus. He didn't ignore suffering, he stepped into it. God's answer to suffering wasn't avoidance, it was the cross.
What if, instead of asking why suffering exists, we ask, who walks with us through it? What if the presence of pain isn't proof of God's absence, but a space where he's closest?
In our darkest moments, faith isn't a magic solution, but it's a hand that reaches out when we're falling. The existence of pain doesn't erase God. Sometimes, it reveals him. Some stories challenge even the hardest skeptics. Maurice Caillet, a prominent French surgeon and a high-ranking Freemason, lived much of his life rejecting God. As an atheist, he believed in science, logic, and human achievement, not faith. But everything changed one day in Lourdes, a small town known for its miraculous healings.
Caillet didn't go there seeking God. He was there for his wife's health, skeptical of the religious atmosphere. But during a mass, something happened that he couldn't explain. A profound sense of peace overwhelmed him, and for the first time, he felt the presence of something greater.
Caillet later described it as a moment that shattered his disbelief. He walked into Lourdes an atheist and left a believer. It wasn't a debate or a philosophical argument that changed him. It was an experience, something beyond reason.
His story reminds us that sometimes God doesn't need to be proven. He simply reveals himself. And when he does, even the hardest hearts soften.
Hypocrisy in the church turns many away. The judgment, the gossip, the contradiction between words and actions, people who claim love but live in judgment. The loudest voices are often the most flawed, and their noise drowns out the quiet, steady faith of others.
Christians aren't perfect. We stumble. We fall short. Even the apostles doubted, betrayed, and denied Jesus. And yet, he forgave them. His grace was never for the flawless, it was for the broken. And in those cracks, his light enters. Healing begins there.
Across Europe, Empty churches stand as silent witnesses to a fading faith. In Germany, pews gather dust. In France, cathedrals close their doors. Faith seems to slip away, little by little.
But not everywhere. In Croatia, faith endures. Church bells still ring. The pews are full. While much of Europe drifts, Croatia stands firm, a light that refuses to go out.
In a world that redefines identity and morality, the family faces battles on every side. New ideologies shape young minds. Media and schools plant seeds that challenge the foundations of faith.
The family is under attack, but the family is also where faith begins. Parents, your role is vital. Jesus calls you to guard the hearts of your children, to remind them who they are, beloved, chosen, and His.
The light of Christ in your home is a flame no ideology can extinguish, but it starts with you. Stand firm, hold the line, and let your home be a beacon.